Esau knows America's going to shit. Well, Trump this, right? Laugh at these goddamn fucking Edomites, man. Just gotta fucking laugh at them as their kingdom goes, man. How many times have we been laughed at and mocked at on the streets? And I yell, or you might have yelled, your kingdom's going down. Well, now you can see it with Donald Trump. Their savior, you know, their Lord and Savior. Because their Lord and Savior is Satan. Because JC's just another name of it. It's Baal. You know, because we know that that's not the name of the Son of the Most High. And that's not the name of the Most High. You see, like everything else, though, it's going to shit, and they know it.
If you see this,
fuck you, Esau. Fuck you. I
don't even see an American flag anymore. Biden's talking with some kind of crazy flag.
Fuck you.
This is America. This is Please, President Trump.
Fuck
please,
you.
Please, I hope you have a plan. God, please save us. Save us from the devil, please. Y'all about to have a panic attack. This is our country. Our country.
Fucking thief.
Awful. God, please save us, please.
Always suck carefully.
Shalom. I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, Lahakadash. A double honor to the apostle and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutation for the hopeful elect out there in the person's word. Peace to 144,000. So you saw from the video, you see a Caucasian woman, an Edomite woman, okay, crying and praying to Trump like he's a god or something, man. All right? And these people, mostly the masses of the people on this earth is under strong delusions, man. Especially the people here in Babylon and Great America is under a strong, heavy delusion. Like these Edomites, this Caucasian race, they really treat him like he's a god, man. All right? And that's a strong delusion. See, people don't understand that this man, DJ Trump, is here to destroy the economic system, to usher in the New World Order. As you can see, it's plain as day. Okay? So let's get with the scriptures, man, real quick. This is 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 11. And for this cause, the Most High shall send them a strong delusion that they should believe in a lie. And what was one of those lies? This is my country. Blah, blah, blah. There's all this BS, man. No, it was never yours. All right? This place was taken by deceit and murder. Of who? Of the northern kingdom of Israel. You saw what you ignorantly call Indian, Native Americans. All right? And Latin-speaking tribes, man, through this Western Hemisphere. Y'all stole it. Okay? Y'all stole it and you're killed and you're murdered. So this was never your country, man. Plain and simple. All right? Yeah, sorry for the interruption. But as you can see, as this woman that's in the toilet and praying to Trump, she's covered in gross darkness, man. And this whole earth is covered in gross darkness. All right? To what? Lies from Esau, Edom. All right? So this comes Isaiah 60, verse 1. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. And right now she's covered in gross darkness. She's over here praying to Trump like he's a god and believing that this is her country. No, it's not, man. Through the history, you stole it and you're murdered. Plain and simple. While you're over here boo-hooing, crying, and shitting on the toilet and this stuff, you are laughing stock in this earth, man. On this earth. All right? So Isaiah 60, verse 2, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord, Yahweh, shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And a small portion of his glory is being seen right now through what? Through the prophets of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, the true servants of the Lord. All right? They out there prophesying and teaching in the streets and teaching and doing their shows. All right? That's a small portion of the Lord's glory. Then the ultimate, when you see every eye shall see him, according to Revelation, the 1st chapter, verse 7, you're going to see the glory of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, what you English call UFOs. That's going to come upon you on this whole earth. And guess what? You're really going to be shitting on yourself when that time comes. Okay? And that's going to roll, man. All right? So let's go to Habakkuk. This is going to be a short lesson. It's sweet, straight to the point. But I'm poking fun at it right now. I'm poking fun on it right now. So this is Habakkuk. Go to the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. All right? Let's start at the top. All right? I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower. Who's that talking about? That's talking about the men of the Lord. Those are the true watchmen of Israel. All right? We watch the whole earth. We watch everything. And we report what's going on to what? To carry out the correct message. Now let's read. And we'll watch to see that he will say unto me, And what I shall answer when I'm reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. So what that's talking about? All the prophecies that we've seen, so we're going to write it down. And we're going to break it down. The prophet's going to break it down. Okay? What's that? Make it plain upon tables. Write the vision, meaning your Bible. Now let's read. That he may run that readeth it. For the visions yet for the appointed time, but the end it shall speak and not lie. And right now, all these prophecies, you see the people in America suffering. Now they're praying to Trump like they're trying to they're going to get an answer. Guess what? Their answer is going to be what? Their enterprise, the New World Order, which they think they're going to really get. Nah, man. The Lord, you ignorantly call God, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, is going to put a foot in your ass, man. As you can see with this woman in the toilet, you know, it must have been that dyer's tea or something with that corn. She over here booing, crying, and having a damn diarrhea attack with a panic attack, man. So, behold, it shall not lie, and these prophecies is happening. Right now, you're starting to see Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, a little bit so far. Right now, these Edomites are suffering. They don't know how to live by their means as we are, okay? See, the difference between the world and the men of the Lord, the servants of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, we thank the Lord for our daily bread. That's it, plain and simple. We don't need a lot, okay? As you can see with this woman, she's in dire need, so she's praying to Trump like he's some kind of God, okay? And that's the problem with you so-called white people, you Caucasians, man. Y'all have that Godhead complex, man. But guess what? That's going to come down soon. So let me get with the Latin. Let's get to, I'm going to go right to the point. She's saying, this is my country. No, it's not. It's never been yours, all right? All right, so this is Habakkuk 2, let me start at verse, let's start at verse 16. Verse 16, okay? Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also and let thy foreskin be uncovered. So right now you see a lot of the past history of the Caucasian race is starting to be uncovered now, and everybody's starting to see it. It's not only the so-called white race, you other nations too. You Arabs, you Chinese, Japanese, you all had a hand on the children of Israel, man. Okay? So let's read. And the Lord's right hand, who's the Lord's right hand? Yahweh Shai. Alright? And the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. As you can see, this woman right now is in dire straits, man. She's crying because you know they're living comfortably and living deliciously here in America. It's over, man. All right, so let's read. For the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of beasts which made them afraid because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city of all that dwell therein. I want to go to the real point right here. Right here. Habakkuk 2 verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. As you can see throughout all the cities here in America, a lot of them were built with blood. If you go to the a lot of these freeways were built over Israelite cities, man. Cities were destroyed to build those freeways, man. All right, so let's read. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. Who's that? The so-called white man, Esau, Edom. Everywhere he goes, he wants to pillage these nations and towns for the natural resources and put his identity on those nations and put a puppet leader in place. Now you over here booing and crying, shitting on the toilet, and praying to Trump to make things better. Nothing's going to be better. And I hope you watch this video. All right, so this is what's happening to you. All right, a small tidbit. This is Deuteronomy 30, verse 7. And this is going to happen. This is prophecy. All right? Deuteronomy 30, verse 7. And the Lord, Yahweh, thy power, will put all these curses upon thine enemies. Who's those enemies? The nations outside of the children of Israel, man. The other nations. The curse is going to be put on you. And guess what's going to be the ultimate curse? It's going to be slavery and captivity. All right? So, and the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Who hate us? The other nations. Starting with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right? Now you're over here crying and having a shitty blast of a time. Watching your precious country, America, dwindling, circling down the drain, and all praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua for that. Today, I hope your brothers and sisters are edified. These devils gonna be suffering even more. This is just a scratch of the surface. Be excited, be elated, stay focused, brothers, man, and sisters that's listening. Stay focused and stay prayed up. Today, another video. Shalom.
All right, and Shalom. First and foremost, like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Double honors the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teaching this truth in sincerity, and shout out to Yakians out there in the four quarters of the earth to proclaim this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Brakatam. Now, Esau's always had a God complex, a Godhead complex, and so like everything else, though, Trump believes himself to be that leader, to be that savior. And, with people praying to him as if he were, he took it. Man, he took it. Because these people built him up as a god. Anyways, Trump's religion is Israelism, and this is coming from Tucker Carlson. Conservative commentator criticized the president for attacking the Pope and waging war against Iran on Israeli state's behalf. Carlson made remarks in response to controversial statements Trump made over the past week, including his attacks against Pope Leo XIV and posts depicting himself as Messiah. So, like everything else, we'll see if we can get that clip. Yeah, it's right here. So let's go ahead and play some of this, because this is going to be really good.
Donald Trump is a famously irreligious man, just not that interested, basically secular, a product of his time and place. If you doubt that, some of the funniest clips ever of Donald Trump, and this is not a criticism, they're legit funny, are him being interviewed during the 2016 campaign and asked basic questions like, what's your favorite book of the Bible? To which he says, with some confusion, well, the Bible, maybe unaware there are component books to it. So Donald Trump is not someone who traditionally, or ever really, has weighed in on questions of faith or theology. He kind of gives it a pass, or smiles. Yeah, I'm for it. I'm for it. The Bible. But in the space of 1 week, Donald Trump, the same famously irreligious Donald Trump, has weighed in pretty specific ways on matters of faith and theology and religion, publicly, in ways that are disruptive and sort of hard to understand, but worth trying to understand. So all this began about 10 days ago on Easter Sunday, early on Easter Sunday, before 9 a.m. on Easter Sunday, when Trump tweeted that he was planning on destroying civilian infrastructure in Iran. It was going to be bridge and power plant day, basically promising war crimes, crimes against civilians, against the population of the country. And then in that same tweet, or truth, he used the F word on Easter Sunday, and then he seemed to make fun of Islam. Praise Allah, he said. So in one short statement of about 110 words, he seemed to give the finger to the world's two largest religions, Christianity and Islam. That was Sunday. And then exactly 1 week later, also on Sunday, the Christian holy day, he attacked the Pope, the leader of the world's largest religion and largest Christian denomination, and attacked him personally and said basically he's only Pope because of me. He's bad. The Pope is bad. And then, later that day, maybe most interestingly, bafflingly of all, he sent out this meme. Take a look at this. Now, there are two on the screen. The one on the right is the one that he sent out, and it's himself, it's Donald Trump, President of the United States, dressed as Jesus, healing a man. You can see the healing power coming off of his right hand.
Under Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, the image on the left of your screen is the original image, and it was floating around the internet. Who knows exactly where it came from, but it's been there for quite some time. The one on the right is the one the president sent out, White House Communications Office, or whoever does this, sent out, and you'll notice that it's been changed, and the American soldier over the president's head, the president as Jesus' head, has been changed and is now, if you look very carefully, a demon, some kind of winged creature of hell. So it goes from an image that suggests, healing and light, to an image that suggests, I don't know, a scene from Revelation, John's vision on the Isle of Patmos, the end times, the apocalypse, who knows, nothing good. It suggests demonic power because there is a demon in it. So he sent that out. And then withdrew it, deleted the tweet from the internet after an outcry, but was asked about it, and he said, yeah, I sent that. Didn't explain how the demon got in there. Someone at the White House put it in. Didn't explain why. And he said, I sent it out, but it wasn't me as Jesus. though obviously it
I'm
is.
a doctor.
It was me as a doctor, because I heal people.
It's
Jesus, of
hilarious.
course, basically described himself as a doctor, someone who came for the sick to heal them, which he did. So maybe a distinction without a difference, but still kind of confusing. And then today, a day later, was asked about it again, and he said, no, I didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't send it out. Which wasn't exactly an answer to the question. Even more confusing. What was that? And then, to make it even further mysterious, sent out this meme on Truth Social, retweeting somebody else, and it's him, Donald Trump, being, I don't know, how would you describe that?
With Cesare Borgia, yep.
Healed by, maybe endorsed by, Jesus. That's unmistakably Jesus, the Christian Messiah, the man God at the center of Christianity, with his arm around Donald Trump, basically saying, you go Trump, I'm on your side. So all of that in a little over a week. What does it mean? Because it certainly means something. This isn't so much a couple of memes. These are icons. It's iconography.
Yep, and it's because people treat him as a savior, and so he's doing savior-like things.
Well, not a coherent one. Doesn't actually add up to a theology. It's mockery.
It's his own.
He's mocking Jesus. He's making fun of Christianity.
Yep.
The central figure of the religion is being held up for mockery, of course. And his description of how this got out is itself mockery of the idea of truth. One day he says, yeah, I did it. Next day he says, no, I didn't do it. Both are on video. That's not really a lie. It's more than a lie. It's bigger than a lie. It's an attack not just on a specific set of facts. It's an attack on the idea that there are facts. It's an attack on truth. Openly. No one's hiding this. So this was kind of dismissed after a online kerfuffle for a few hours, and people were outraged, and then they weren't, and we've got other things to worry about. They moved on. But for sincere religious people, for Christians who care about Jesus and what's true and what's not, a lot of them went to their Bibles to try and figure out, what are we watching here? And a lot of them came up with a couple of verses that seemed to fit what we're watching. And if you are a sincere Christian or know some, maybe you got these texted to you.
Maybe Isaiah 14 might come out. I am none, and none like me, right?
Interpreting this.
Is declared so to be like the Most High?
Paul's second letter to the Thessalonians.
That one.
Thessalonica. Chapter 2, a very well-known verse in which he's describing what's going to happen when Jesus comes back. And he says, you're going to hear that Jesus is coming back. Don't believe what you hear. A bunch of things have to happen before he returns to earth, redeems the world, history ends. And you'll know that he's coming by these events. And among them will be the rise of a figure he describes as the man of lawlessness, sometimes
which is Esau.
Antichrist. The man of lawlessness is the phrase from his second letter to the Thessalonians. And he says this.
It can be isolated to the king of Babylon,
though. There will be a great rebellion against God, led by that man of lawlessness. This man, quote, will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped.
There it is.
So that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. He will pose as God.
And Esau did do this.
He will mock other gods and put himself in their place. That's from the second letter to the Thessalonians. But that's not the first place in the Bible, Old and New Testaments, where something like this is described. Variations of this are in a number of prophecies in what Christians call the Old Testament, including those contained in the book of Daniel. The prophet Daniel describes something very much like this at the end of history, and he's describing this period, really, as is so often described in the prophets, as punishment. Punishment for faithlessness and sin. God's people are being punished for not following God. And that punishment, he describes in part in chapter 11 from the book of Daniel, predicts the coming of a king, and we're quoting now, a king who will do as he pleases. He will exalt and magnify himself above every god, and will say unheard of things against the God of gods. He will be successful until the time of wrath is completed. for what has been determined must take place. It's all ordained, in other words, preordained. He will show no regard for the gods of his ancestors, nor will he regard any god, but will exalt himself above them all. So to a lot of Christians, or people who know the Bible well and believe in it, these predictions in both the Old and the New Testament, and there are others, seem to fit what we were watching. Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well,
There it is.
who knows? At least that's my conclusion. Who knows? We're also told repeatedly in the New Testament that you're not going to know. That Jesus will return like a thief in the night, and you better be ready because you can't predict it.
So, like everything else, so if you believed in Antichrist, then Donald Trump would be that man of sin and lawlessness, right? But we know that those scripts are referring to a whole race of people, right? But Trump is that leader. Make no mistake about it. So, here it goes, and he's turned against those that strongly support him. Trump continues his attacks against Alex Jones. President Trump called Alex Jones bankrupt and completely fried. On Friday, Trump once again lashed out at several of his original MAGA supporters, including Alex Jones, similar to the last time Trump criticized Jones for being bankrupt, something that happened following Jones' total support of Trump over the last decade. It's easy. Tucker is a low IQ person, the guy that just played. Always easy to beat and highly overrated. So is Megyn Kelly. Candace, really dumb and mentally ill. Yeah, nobody likes her, right? But we, the elect, like her. And bankrupt Alex Jones, who is completely fried. There are others also. Then we have some that are very good, true. MAGA all the way. So like everything else, so, he's just so full of himself. So here we go. Trump, he answers Trump on this one. A little video. He ain't too mad about it either.
You do IQ tester.
Yep, that's what we do.
Okay, because I think I need one.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Why do you need one?
Well, I've had some people lately telling me I have a low IQ.
Shots fired.
Oh, this is hilarious.
Who's been telling you that?
Well, some people online have been telling me that, like the president, and even my dogs are looking at me a little bit condescendingly now.
Well, we'll find out. So with this IQ test, I'll just ask you a series of simple, really common sense questions, and you just give me your best answer.
I'm actually kind of a little bit nervous right now.
Oh yeah, you should be, because if you turn out to be what some would call a low IQ nut job, then you're pretty much a lost cause.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
All right, first question. Which word doesn't belong? Apple, banana, carrot, orange.
Is it carrot?
Very good, because it's not a fruit and all. It's clever. Next question. Who would be considered more of a traitor to their country? Person A, who receives $230 million from a foreign lobby, or person B, who receives $0 from a foreign lobby?
I mean, clearly person A.
Wrong.
Come on, that's got to be correct.
Next, hypothetical question. If a country has a major shipping waterway that you want to have open, and it's currently open, but they'll close it if you go to war, what would be a smart way to ensure that waterway stays open?
You don't go to war with them.
No, not even close. Common sense would say go to war with that country and stay at war with that country as a way of putting pressure on them to reopen it after they've closed it because you went to war with them.
Are you playing with a full deck?
I don't play cards, but thanks for asking. Oh, and this is a good one. If you had the desire to take down an international pedophile ring, what would be the best way to follow through on that desire?
Well, you launch a full investigation using every means necessary, and then you prosecute those bastards the fullest extent of the law.
Wrong. No. You would launch an effort to prevent any investigations and prosecutions.
That can't be right.
Well, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
These questions are kind of weird.
Oh, I assure you, these are standardized IQ test questions, sir.
It's hilarious.
Next question.
You got to make fun of
Here's
Trump,
a scenario.
too.
You got a person they work for America and America only. What country does that person work for?
America?
That's incorrect. They work for Iran. Next question. Who's more beautiful as a woman? France's First Lady, or maybe man, or Candace Owens?
Candace Owens?
No.
Have you seen France's First Lady?
I would totally do her. If she had an OnlyFans, I would subscribe. Any reasonable man would. Okay, how would you describe what America First means?
Putting America's interests first above any other foreign nation.
No, you're actually describing anti-Semitism. Yuck. Okay, last question. What year did we first land on the moon?
We've never been to the moon.
No, we've been to the moon. We go all the time. Well, your test is complete. I've never seen a score like this before.
What'd I get?
You got an IQ of 65.
Is that high?
No, that's a very low IQ.
My life is literally ruined. He was right.
Who was right?
Just don't worry about that now. My big question is, what am I going to do with my life now that I've learned that I am so stupid?
Well, just remember, you're also not job. But yeah, you're pretty screwed. Really, the only option I can give low IQ people such as yourself is to like go off and open a Somali daycare.
I am completely devastated. Are you talking about that creature that looks like from the Lord of the Rings, the goblin thing that stumbles around beside Macron, whatever it is? You're saying she's beautiful? Okay. Beautiful to a gremlin, maybe.
It's more for edification's sake. You know, you gotta make fun of some of this stuff, man. Because, I mean, Trump takes the cake, right? There's bullshit, there's Trump shit, and of course, there's Hague shit, right? Well, we know things can happen suddenly.
Shalom. Welcome back. First and foremost, I want to give all glory, praises, and honors to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to Akim pushing his word in sincerity and in truth. Back on the lesson. It's going to be a quick lesson. Dealing with something that happened at work, right? I talk about my job sometimes and how things are changing quickly, just like in the economy. We got people doing more jobs than they usually would have to do. They're trying to do more with less. They're cutting back, trying to pinch pennies. Come to find out, I had to drive, well, basically someone had to take me somewhere to pick up a truck, right? So I can take it back to another location. But anyway, this person is high ranking in the management, and was a female, and she's blabbing about how the company's doing. Now, I work for a Fortune 500 company, a big company that's all over the U.S., and it's a part of something that's really all over the world. It's a global corporation. But anyway, she was telling us how we were doing and why they were cutting everything and why they said no more overtime and how they're scaling back. It's because up to this time, sales are down 50%. So think about that. Let that sink in. Sales are down 50%. So when she said this, this is something that really no other manager has been saying, but you go ahead, and let it slip or whatever. But I'm telling this story to say this, that, hey, man, we don't got long in this place, man. And we don't got long in this place. And you got to understand that the Lord is making these things come to pass. Economy is going to collapse. You're going to have a martial law. You're going to have even more wars start up, right? You're going to have shortages. You're going to have a lot of things happen to push us forward in prophecy's sake to get to the mark of the beast, all right? Because when I look at something like this happening in my job, and I see the mass layoffs, you see that this economy and this country, right, America, aka Mr. Babylon, is headed in a very specific place, right? Headed in a very specific direction, right? Let me just read the title of this article from Fortune. It says, Americans have never been this gloomy about the economy. Wall Street has never cashed in harder. So there's a disconnect between the haves and have-nots. It's going to be a very central part of prophecy, man. All right? Which is going to stoke rebellion. It's going to stoke class wars. It's going to stoke people saying the hell with the government. That's another layer of prophecy that has to come to pass, man. Right? Because when these companies lay off, pinch pennies, cut back, ultimately, before it collapses, their stock prices are going to go up because it looks like they're saving money on what? On labor. All right, they're saving money on labor when they lay off people, try to replace them with AI and do these things and do that. It looks like they're actually doing better, right? But ultimately, when you have so many people out of work, so many people that can't pay their bills, struggling to survive, you're going to have people being a very low morale, man. And that's going to take down, that's going to add to one of the reasons this place is eventually taken down, right? Let me grab some scriptures. The first scripture I'm going to grab is in the book of Romans chapter 13, verse 11. It says, "And that knowing the time, that now is high time to wake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light," meaning this understanding, this knowledge, this faith of Yahweh Shai. It's going to be very important in these days, in these times, man. All right, to be locked in and don't get caught up in the flesh and the things that you're going to lose, right? So I know eventually, I'm not going to have no job, man. That's the eventuality of this thing. Eventually, they're going to impose situations where you have to go to the government to eat, which is going to require a sacrifice of somebody taking that mark, man. So these things got to be in your head, knowing that what you got today may not be here tomorrow. All right? These things are going to be destroyed on the side. And the only thing that's going to get you through ultimately is the faith and fear of Yahweh Shai. Not what you had in this world, what I had a house or I had some cars, whatever, man. These things on the side is going to be destroyed. Right? Let's keep going. Let's grab something in Matthew. Let's go to Matthew 24. I'm going to go to a point, but I encourage you to read the entire chapter of Matthew 24 to get more of an understanding, because this is speaking about how things are going to be leading up to the end of ends, All right? Before the Lord comes back. It's Matthew 24:32. "Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is nigh." So just like you can see the patterns in nature, leaves starting to bud, all right? It's starting to get warmer out. Grass is filling in different spots. You know that, the next season is coming up. So just like that, understand, we are in unprecedented times, man. All right? You got America starting wars all over the place, skirmishes all over the place. You have the cost of living crisis. All right? You have people that are all over social media crying, disillusioned, angry, upset about the direction the country is going. All right? So you have all these things that I talk about in Bible prophecy that are going to lead up to the end of the society, the end of the wicked's world, right? Verse 33, "So likewise ye, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors," right? Meaning the end of the society, the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. Because when you read up in Matthew 24, it talks about wars, rumors of wars. It talks about the love of many waxing cold, right? It talks about false messiahs. You see, so understand that we're going to see all these things happen before the Lord returns and ultimate destruction of this place. Verse 34, "Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away," meaning this rulership, these kingdoms, these things are going to pass away. But the Lord, King of Kings, is going to restore basically righteousness back to the earth. All right? That's what's going to happen. We're going to be changed, Lord willing, we're those elect, and we're not going to go off anymore. Right? So all these things are going to happen in these last days, and we're on that track. Now, things can happen suddenly. You see, just like when they had the CV-19, and they escalated, everybody has to take that jump shot to do this, to do that. So keep that in the back of your mind, how quick things can change, man. Things can seem like business as usual, but when you really pull out, get a big broad view of it, hey, the foundation is cracking, man. All right? The support beams are falling down, and people think the society has a long time to go. But understand, hey, the Lord is pulling this bitch down, man. And he's doing it quicker than we can even understand or comprehend. But that's the point. I want to give our glory, praises, and honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom the next time.
So, like everything else, and once the economy comes down, which you see already, the ingredients already put in there, so, you're just turning that flame onto your stew, and it's getting ready to come, Your stew's getting ready, because that's what they've done. They put in all the ingredients, to set this thing off so they can bring in what they want. U.S. Navy spy drone circles Cuba as report says Pentagon weighing possible military operations. USA Today reported on Wednesday that the Department of War is preparing operation in Cuba. The report was based on two sources. The Department of War responded to the outlet saying its plans for a range of contingencies remains prepared to execute the president's orders. So they're just waiting on the president's orders to invade Cuba. And we've got more from this video here.
Cuba's armed forces are running drills and strategic exercises in preparation for an increasingly likely U.S. attack. The country recently celebrated the 65th anniversary of Fidel Castro declaring Cuba a socialist country. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel gave a statement encouraging the nation to resist the imminent threat.
While the blockade remains like a tight noose around the neck of the economy, no one will be able to deny, and I repeat, no one will be able to deny its absolute guilt in the suffering of Cuban families. The main cause of our problems is the genocidal blockade of the U.S. government against our people. This moment is extremely challenging and calls on us once again, as on April 16, 1961, to be ready to face serious threats, among them military aggression. We do not want it, but it is our duty to prepare to avoid it, and if it is inevitable, to prevail against it.
Donald Trump's been very busy bombing sovereign nations he does not like. Despite earlier campaign promises of peace, Venezuela was attacked, its president abducted, Iran bombed, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei killed, and now Trump is saying that Cuba is next on the list.
Cuba's another story. Cuba's been a terribly run country for a long time. It's got a bad system. It's been very oppressive, as you know. Cuba's a failing nation, and we're going to do this, and we may stop like Cuba after we're finished with this.
That says Havana seems not at all worried about Washington's threats. In fact, Cuba's president told American media that he will not step down. Instead, he's ready to die if it means defending the revolution.
If the time comes, I don't think there would be any justification for the United States to launch a military aggression against Cuba, or for the U.S. to undertake a surgical operation or the kidnapping of a president. If that happens, there'll be fighting and there'll be a struggle. And we'll defend ourselves. And if we need to die, we'll die, because as our national anthem says, dying for the homeland is to live.
Trump's statement comes as Havana and Washington are right in the middle of negotiations regarding the future of bilateral relations. Let's not forget that the U.S. and Israel launched an unprovoked attack on Iran in February, while Tehran was in the middle of talks regarding its nuclear program. It's likely an event fresh in the minds of the Cuban leadership, as media reports are suggesting that they've reached out to the Vatican for help in cutting a deal.
In senior-level meetings, including with Pope Leo XIV, Cuban officials have petitioned the Vatican to serve as an interlocutor with the United States. The goal is to facilitate talks and secure an easing.
Trump doesn't get along with the Pope.
To isolate Cuba through a de facto oil blockade that is causing crippling fuel shortages and worsening blackouts, according to several people familiar with the talks.
Havana and the Vatican have yet to comment on the Washington Post's report, but they've both long been opposed to the U.S. embargo on the socialist island nation. When it comes to possible U.S. military action, we decided to ask the Cubans what they thought about being next on Donald Trump's hit list.
He may attack Cuba, but here we Cubans are prepared for any attack he wants to make against Cuba. We are prepared for whatever comes, and for this country and this flag, I give my blood. To those who invade my country, I know how to respond. We have fought before, so that this country would be free like it is now.
Trump's threats against Cuba show he is completely out of his mind. No sane person would think of attacking Cuba, a peaceful and much smaller country, which has never harmed the United States. Quite the opposite. Cuba has always been harmed by the relationship it has had with the United States since the United States was founded as a nation.
I am sure we will defend ourselves. The Cubans will defend ourselves. The same goes for those living here and in the United States, because there are many Cuban families there, and probably they will not allow anything to happen to their families here. They will defend themselves just as much there as we will here.
The Trump administration might say its beef is with the Cuban government and not the people, and might also even call on the Cubans to rise up against
Well, that's what they said about Iran. And you see them bomb schools.
If experience has proven anything, it's that people really usually do not appreciate having bombs dropped on their homes. Donald Corder, RT, Havana, Cuba.
So there you have it. Cuba's next on his list. You know, he's just going down one by one. You know, Canada could be next, and then it could be Greenland. War against Iran to trigger global famine. Disruptions to fertilizer supplies caused by the U.S.-Israeli attack against Iran risk triggering multi-year food crisis globally, World Central Kitchen founder warned. Tensions around the Strait of Hormuz already driven up energy prices and rattled the global economy, disrupting one of the world's most important trade arteries. The route handles around 20% of global crude exports, but is also critical for shipment of nitrogen-based fertilizers. So like everything else though, you know, yeah, famines, right? Famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places, all these, beginning of sorrows. Are we not here? Is not the things that Yahweh said would happen before his return? You know, as the brother says, read Matthew chapter 24 all the way through and see that it's not happening, right? There's no denial that we are in those times that Yahweh spoke of. EU to restore Syrian relations, strengthen trade and security ties. The paper highlights ambitions to integrate Syria into regional connectivity projects including India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor. The European Union plans to deepen its engagement with Syria by relaunching formal political contacts and paving the way for closer economic security ties. So like everything else though, Syria definitely serves as a transit because they do have a lot of goods. And this would be very good for them, you know. Turkey, Syria, and Jordan also agreed to upgrade their railway networks to create a corridor linking Europe to the Gulf. Turkish transport Abdullah told Bloomberg on Wednesday. You know, so like everything else though, you know, again, you know, that's part of another reason why they wanted Syria. You know, because remember, the EU was on board with invading Syria and overthrowing the government, which happened towards the very tail end of Biden's government. So, it's something that they wanted. They just hate Donald Trump. So, like everything else, though, well, again, more highlights on the plans to invade Cuba.
And we told you so. Giving all the praise, honor, and all the glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the elders, a great millstone, who told us this truth. A sincere Shalom, Lavakaryam, Shah, Yasha Allah. That's peace to the elect, the nation of Israel. We told you so. Now, looks like GM and Ford, the motor company, will be building war material for this administration, ammunition, you name it. They transforming America into something called a war economy. Now, this is something that a few countries are in right now. I know Russia is there. That's when all their gross domestic product on the bank account for America, let's say 80% is to build, you know, tanks and helicopters and jets and destroyers, because the country is in war. We told you so. And I can't wait till this hit. We can't wait till this hit. For all you unbelievers, you deny us, you unfaithful, you playing around jokers, you know, playing with this truth, thinking that the men of the Lord are wasting time. I can't wait to see the look on you MF's face. This is Romans 3 verse 3. Actually, Romans 3 and 3. For what if some did not believe? And we got a lot of you. So what? So Paul asks questions. So what if some don't believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of Yahweh without effect? God forbid. Your unbelief is not going to stop these prophecies. We are going in. So you know this draft is happening. All these motor companies will be producing weapons for this Third World War, AMP. What then? If some did not believe or were unfaithful to Yahweh, their lack of belief will not nullify and make invalid the faithfulness of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua in his word. Certainly not. Let Yahweh be found true as he will be, though every person be found a liar. Just as it is written in the scriptures, that you may be justified in your words, because we stay in these promises, and prevail when you are judged by sinful men. We ain't lying to you. We ain't lying to you. We giving it to you straight. More wars and rumors of wars, and we told you that this was going to happen.
Reports stating that the Pentagon, that's the U.S. Department of Defense, the U.S. military, wants all the major auto companies in the U.S. to play a bigger role in U.S. defense manufacturing, according to two sources familiar with discussions. Apparently, the Ford Motor Company CEO Jim Farley and General Motors CEO Mary Barra have been involved in discussions with top defense officials about the automakers getting more involved in the production of weapons and military equipment, the Wall Street Journal reported. So Ford CEO, GM CEO, speaking with the Pentagon about, from what I'm hearing, is the Pentagon using Ford and GM factories to produce artillery, vehicles, all different kinds of things. Okay, so this is huge news, and unconfirmed reports are saying that this is to prepare for World War III. China, and apparently
prepare for World War III. We told you. We told you that this thing was getting close. You have been warned. And you're running out of time. You are running out of time. This thing is going down. The Lord cutting this thing short. You know, Yahushua's on his way. There's so many sightings with these UFOs and what's going on in the sky. Because this place is being invaded with the angels from the fourth dimension. That means we are close. We not worried about you non-believers. You're going to be sitting on your hands real soon, screaming and hollering, man. This is Revelations 11 and 14. You've been warned. You have been warned. The second woe is past. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. This is Revelations 8, verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, World War I, woe, World War II, woe, World War III. There ain't no fourth woe here. It ends with the third woe. 1, 2, 3. To the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which was yet to sound. We now about to hit that third woe. That means everything about to roll out. Jacob's trouble, the demonic spirits, Michael about to stand up, the Lord about to set up a standard, concentration camps, brothers losing their life for this truth, the famine of the word, no more warnings, you on your own. That means everything about to take place. As you see this final burning gets closer and closer, that's the indication that we are at the end of Esau's age, at the end of Esau's world. Let me get this here. I told you, man. These scriptures, look, the Lord said we have a more sure word of prophecy. The Bible wins again. This is Malachi 4 verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. The second death. We telling you through these scriptures, man. This ain't no joke. For behold, the days cometh that shall burn as an oven. And all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. That's the third woe. And you've been warned. And it's going to stop. Look, we are here. This place is about to shut down. Because in the time of the war, they don't need you roaming around the streets. This is Ezekiel 33, verse 31. And they come unto thee after people cometh. And they sit before thee as my people. And they hear the words, you looking at the videos, you're hearing the warnings. Got jokers approaching camp, acting like they belong to camps when you don't. You hear the warnings, you're being entertained, I'm looking for brotherhood. You doing everything else but preparing. And preparing is kissing the sun, getting closer to Yahushua, repenting, man. Repenting. And carrying a testimony. You're doing everything else but that. But they will not do them. For with their mouth they do show much love, but with their hearts they go after their covetousness. And lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song of one that have a pleasant voice and can play well on an instrument. For they hear thy words, but they will not do them. And when this come to pass, we told you, it's coming. And you got to couple this with the pestilence that's about to hit. Yeah, the animals are acting up. We just saw another bee attack. You know, over there with the small hats. The earthquakes. You know, the sun, moon, the stars, the activity up top. The perplexity of the people. The starvation. The women mourning. But you got to put all this together. The Lord said a time like no other. All this is on the heels of this World War III. It says, and when this come to pass, lo, or look, it will come. Then they shall know that a prophet has been among them. Let me AMP this. So when it comes to pass, as it most certainly will, then they will know without any doubt that a prophet has been among them. You've been warned. Now the car companies are involved.
The big automakers in the U.S., Ford and GM, were involved in defense manufacturing was World War II. Okay, so let that sink in. Clearly preparations for a world war.
Let's say that again.
And we have all different kinds of things. Okay, so this is huge news, and unconfirmed reports are saying that this is to prepare for World War III with Russia and China, and apparently the last time the big automakers in the U.S., Ford and GM, were involved in defense manufacturing was World War II. Okay, so let that sink in. Clearly preparations for a world war.
One more time.
Apparently the last time the big automakers in the U.S., Ford and GM, were involved in defense manufacturing was World War II. Okay, so let that sink in. Clearly preparations for a world war.
So on.
So, you know, here we are. And yet people are still talking about how they're going to build this and that, you know, and that this is the way to go. You just ain't in the know, man, which means that you ain't truly a prophet. Because if you can't see the writing on the wall and you're not listening to the right people, you're not getting the right information, you know. But here it is. We've been giving you the right information. We've been running. We've been telling everyone. U.S. bill would mandate on-device age verification. So like everything else, though, you know, more about, you know, tracking everyone, tracking your every move. Buried in the definitions is a mandate that reaches every laptop, console, smart TV, and car informant center system in the country. A bill introduced by Representative Gautier in the House on the 13th of April would require Apple, Google, and every other operating system vendor to verify the age of anyone setting up a new device in the U.S. So, you know, whether you go through Windows or you go through, you have an Apple computer or Google Chrome, well, you know, you're required. We obtained a copy of the bill for you here. A press release describing it led with children. Oh, so this is very similar to what's happening in the UK, right? You know, so you have to register with that device. We'll play some of that, right?
Goal, they will not stop until they achieve that. If they stop before they achieve that, then they're dead. Everything is gone. Because they've spent the last 2.5 years carrying out a brutal campaign of ethnic cleansing and genocide. They know that they're going to lose support worldwide. They have to become a superpower right now. They have to become a global or a regional
talking about the
global superpower by defeating Iran right now, or else they're screwed. In 5 or 10 years, with support from America will be withdrawn, and Israel cannot survive without America as its attack dog. So they're not going to stop. I don't know what this ceasefire portends or how it's going to turn out, or if Trump is actually taking Joe Kent's advice and putting restraint on Israel, as we could do anytime we wanted, if that is, the American president wouldn't be like murdered by Israel for disagreeing with them. So as long as Trump can have the fortitude and confidence to restrain Israel a little bit here or there, then maybe this peace can last, and maybe the damage that's already been done from the Iran war can be as far as this damage goes. I doubt it, though. I seriously doubt it, because everything else is moving forward at a pace, including the lockdowns and restrictions and COVID 2.0 over this time. There's no choice, because they will just withhold food from you.
So even they are telling you straight out the gate that the same thing Dollar Vigilante and the others have been saying, right? And we've been saying, yeah, there's going to be a famine. You know, no doubt about it. You know, and you already know with the shortages on fertilizer, it's all being manufactured. They already have all the ingredients in that stew. And that stew is cooking. Saudi Arabia pressed U.S. to secure a Lebanon ceasefire to preserve Iran negotiations. So like everything else, Saudi Arabia got them to do it. It got them to get the Israeli state to back off a little. But it ain't going to last very long. Private call between Trump and Crown Prince Salman took place the day before the Lebanon ceasefire. Saudi Arabia pushed the U.S. to prioritize securing ceasefire in Lebanon in order to sustain talks with Iran as the kingdom's shift to mediation efforts to reopen the strait, multiple U.S., Western, and Arab officials said. So like everything else, though, you know, that's a big reason why this took place. Israeli-Lebanon ceasefire takes effect. The 10-day ceasefire between the Israeli state and Lebanon entered into force on Friday, with U.S. President Trump insisting that Hezbollah is part of the agreement. Although the group has boycotted peace talks with the Israeli state as futile. IDF renewed their operation in Lebanon in early March after Hezbollah fired rockets and mortars at the Israeli state in support of Iran. So like everything else though, well, you think that this one's going to hold? That Israeli state's going to honor it? Think again. Israeli strike kills 8, injures dozens in southern Lebanon after ceasefire announcement. Oh, so I guess they didn't honor it. You know, they already started attacking. Well, that lasted for a few hours. Israeli fighter jets struck down the town of Gaza south of Sidon. Health Ministry said the attack killed 8 people and injured 33 others. Strike came minutes after Trump said Lebanon, oh, so it's less than 3 hours, and Israeli state agreed to a pause in fighting for 10 days, starting midnight Friday local time. So, oh, they just had to get in there one last shot. Why not, right? Trump says probably, maybe, Iran talks to resume this weekend. Not sure about ceasefire extension. Ships entering the Hormuz Strait, already sanctioned by the U.S., just got a lot more vulnerable under D.C.'s blockade of Iranian ports. They're now fair game for boarding, search, and outright seizure. So like everything else though, you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they want to make a deal. Iran reopened strait to commercial traffic following Lebanon's ceasefire. So that's what they wanted as a guarantee there, because that's the whole reason why it got closed again. Following the implementation of ceasefire in Lebanon, Iran announced the complete reopening of the strategic strait to commercial vessels, signaling a successful culmination of its decisive military and diplomatic campaign against U.S. and Israeli aggression. In line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through the strait is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire. So, like everything else though, this is just a short time, but like everything else, they are planning a ground invasion. So, got a video here. Got to see if this thing reloads. Alright, so I'm going to play that.
Let's discuss all the latest developments in the Middle East with Elham Abedini, a journalist and international relations expert in Tehran. Welcome to the program, madam. The U.S. Secretary has repeated often that Tehran does not have a navy left and is not in control of the Strait of Hormuz, but Washington is, he says. How do you react to this statement, especially bearing in mind Iran's onshore arsenal?
Thank you for having me. Actually, the most important issue here is that now who is controlling the Strait of Hormuz? We see that Donald Trump threatened and said that no ships would come and transport from the Strait of Hormuz, and said that we block the Strait of Hormuz. But during these 2 or 3 days before, we've seen some ships in the permission of Iran and with the conditions of Iran could transport from the Strait of Hormuz. So it shows that Iran is the only actor and the only power in the region who can guarantee the security and stability of these region. And the issue is that even if the United States try to open the Strait of Hormuz by actually military forces, it would be just for a short term. For mid-term or long-term, the only country could stabilize the region is Iran. And these kind of propaganda in through social media or even using military forces to open it by force, these just escalate the tension in the region. And it would even increase the energy prices more than this. And now we can see many energy companies said that it would be really logic to pay tolls to Iran instead of using these military forces. And also we've seen many even traditional allies that the United States would refuse to help the United States to join these military forces and military coalition against Iran.
Donald Trump has said Israel and Lebanon have reached an agreement for a 10-day ceasefire to go into effect tonight, in less than 3 hours now. Iran previously insisted that there be a ceasefire in Lebanon in order to continue peace talks with the U.S. What do you think the next step will be?
Actually, my analysis is that the United States tried to make image of victory in this war. So I think this ceasefire would not be a stable thing, not about Lebanon or not about Iran. Even if the negotiation happened in Pakistan again and they reach kind of ceasefire, I myself suppose that the United States try to make just kind of operation, maybe a ground invasion, to make this image of victory about this war. So this is the
they know about the impending ground invasion.
That the United States tried to make this negotiation happen, and Iran said that if you accept all of our 10 conditions, we would sit in the table. So I think the United States tried to make this ceasefire to convince Iran to be sit in the negotiation table. But after that, I think the United States and Israeli regime would not stop this war, and this ceasefire would not stable. But at the same time, because of all of this mainstream media and all of this propaganda, maybe there is no other option for Iran to again and again prove that Iran is in the side of negotiation, in the side of diplomacy, and we do not want war. Although 2 times we were on the negotiation table and they did war against us. And again, in these Islamabad talks, we've seen how the United States tried to come in the Strait of Hormuz and use military forces against us. But again, this time, maybe Iran, if they accept all of our 10 conditions, including the ceasefire in Lebanon, Iran would again come into negotiation table. But this is completely obvious that Iran is completely ready for any war, and we do not trust the United States and Israel, not in this temporary ceasefire or not even after if we reach an agreement.
So, like everything else, so they know not to trust the U.S. And with good reason, right? Slovakia. Well, like everything else, so the time of mourning is over. As you know, I lost my Pomeranian at the end of December. And so we got another one. This time it's a Pomeranian Maltese mix. And she was crying because she was alone for a few seconds. If you know anything about Pomeranians or Maltese, they do not like to be alone, you know. So my wife had to step out for a second there. And she was crying. But nonetheless, so, you know, still staying focused and in this, man. Trump hails Iran's full Hormuz reopening as U.S. reportedly weighs $20 billion cash for nukes deal. Trump praises Iran for fully reopening Hormuz. Iran's Agashi says Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open. U.S. mulls cash for uranium deal as 3-page MOU. Peace plan takes shape. Peace talks reportedly on Sunday in Islamabad. So, like everything else, so... You know, they're now trying to negotiate the last little point of it, and it's a fake ceasefire, as you know, that they're still planning an invasion of Iran, but, you know, for everything else, so what it looks like, right? But be prepared for just about anything to happen, as we always are. Well, the scriptures tell us that there's not going to be a ceasefire, that, you know, when they shall say peace and safety, then come the sudden destruction, which is the Third World War. IRGC locked 16 cruise missiles against U.S. warships in the Strait before they retreated. That's what the U.S. will never tell its people, right? The Department of War will never tell its people that, yeah, they retreated because Iran already had them locked in. In new details of last week's operation in the Strait, Press TV learned that the IRGC Navy locked more than a dozen cruise missiles onto aggressive U.S. warships moments before they hastily retreated. According to Press TV findings, after the American warships, the USS Michael Murphy and USS Frank Peterson, failed to heed initial warnings from Iranian naval forces, the IRGC Navy locked 16 cruise missiles onto the vessels. The enemy was then warned that if they did not withdraw from the Strait within minutes, the missiles would be fired. With American terrorists reportedly certain that an attack was imminent, they requested a 15-minute delay from IRGC naval forces. Basically, they were chased off. So this is...
U.S. Navy Warship 121. This is Sepah Navy Station. You must alter course and go back to the Indian Ocean immediately. If you don't obey my order, you will be targeted. Out.
This is Coalition Warship 121, engaged in transit passage in accordance with international law. No challenge is attended to you.
U.S. Navy warship transiting in the vicinity 4J report and Oman Sea. This is Sabah Navy. This is Sabah Navy. Last warning, last warning, last warning.
Close to High Island 4.
Attention all vessels, attention all vessels, attention all vessels in Oman Sea. This is Iranian Sepah Navy. If you see any warship in your vicinity, keep a distance more than 10 miles from them because I'm ready to open fire on them without any warning.
Yeah, that looks pretty legit, just like I read. So that's what happened there when they said that the U.S. is securing the strait. Yeah, right. The only guarantors is Iran themselves. Second carrier burns as U.S. fleet crumbles under grind of Iran war. So another carrier caught fire as well. Another U.S. supercarrier suffered a fire-related incident marking the latest in a series of operation failures plaguing American naval assets since D.C.'s launch of war terrorism with the Israeli state against Iran. 8 sailors were injured on the 14th of April when a fire broke out aboard the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower during scheduled maintenance at Norfolk Shipyard in Virginia. The U.S. Navy confirmed the incident, says the fire causes remain under investigation. So in other words, they took some pretty heavy hits. There's a lot of things in the equipment that, well, it took some hits from this war. Because, of course, they're back in Virginia now. But nonetheless, though, Paul Stahar's got one more video here, which I'm going to get into. But, hey, man, it's going to come. They are going to roll this thing out very shortly here. Because in times of war, then, yeah, you have no choice but to lock it down anyways. Because you can't have a bunch of people running around, especially detesting what you do. So, we're in the times that Yahushua spoke of, so I may as well get some of the passages here in Matthew chapter 24, as we get to this. This time we'll get some here. So the parable of the fig tree, but we'll read it in its entirety because this is how fast Yahushua is coming. Verse 32, Matthew chapter 24. Now learn the lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its young shoots become tender and it puts out its leaves, you know that the summer is near. So you too, when you see all these things taking place, know for certain that he is near, right at the door. There was a song that came out in the 80s. And this could be our last summer here in Babylon before things really take off. And it was called Suddenly Last Summer. It was a pretty big hit in the 80s. And I thought about that, and you think about these scriptures here. This could be our last summer here, man. That was probably our last Passover before the return of Yahushua. How exciting this can be. But if you're not right with Yahushua, he's not coming to spare you. No, he's coming to judge you. You just know that, again, he's also coming to judge the wicked as well. I assure you, and most solemnly say to you, this generation, the people living when these signs and events begin, will not pass away until all these things take place. So, no matter what, we're going to see some shit, before his return. Heaven and earth, as now known, will pass away, meaning that there's going to be a change in rulership, because heaven can mean kingdom. The kingdom of the earth will change. That's now known. It's going to pass away. Esau's kingdom will be found no more. But my words will not pass away. But of that exact day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son and his humanity, but the Father alone. So like for the coming of the Son of Man, just be like the days of Noah. And we're in that time now. For as in those days before the flood, they were eaten, drinking, merry, and given in marriage until the very day Noah entered into the ark. You know, and that's, also talking about the day that the chariots came. You know, and I said I had a dream about this whirlwind that nearly caught me, and it seemed like I had been judged. You know, and they did not know or understand until the flood came and swept them all away. So will the coming of Son of Man be unexpected judgment. So it seemed like I had been judged, but I wasn't. I actually was taken away safely, but it seemed like I got killed, by the whirlwind. And at that time 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken for judgment, and one will be left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken for judgment, and one will be left. So think about that, though, that, there's going to be those that are taken in the chariots, and there's going to be those that are left to be judged. I think the parentheses is opposite, but just by the way he's saying it, because Esau, when he made these interpretations, didn't understand what the chariots were. So be alert, give strict attention, be cautious and active in faith, for you do not know which day, whether near or far, your power is coming. But understand this, if the head of the house knew what time of the night the thief was coming, he would not have been on the alert, and would not have allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore, you who follow me must be ready, because the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not expect him. And so, like everything else, just keep on looking up, for your redemption draweth nigh. So hopefully all this has been edifying. Again, Apostle Tara's got one more video here, and close us out. For that I want to say, Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abba Babal. Brakatum, Jehovah elect. Shalom.
Shalom, real quick, give it all praise to Yahweh, Shalom, 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 Kakadash, Shalom to the 145,000, and the rest of the elect out there, Shalom to you all. So this is going to be a response to redacted and digital IDs coming. So I just caught it. This is like 54 minutes in. So I just, came to this page. But anyway, this is what I want to do. I want to go to, okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go ahead and play it. This is fair use, fair use, fair use. So listen up, listen up, listen up. This is, so they know, the people have redacted Natalie and Clayton Morris. They both know, I believe Natalie is Jehovah's Witness, or she's into the scriptures, so they do know that the mark of the beast is the microchip. I don't know if they actually go to the scriptures, but some Edomites do. Anyway, just go ahead and listen. Let's go ahead and listen. I'm not going to make this long.
Website now. Hey, Father's Day is coming up.
Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Maybe do a little shopping for that man in your life, or just buy something for yourself. 20% purchase, Maine.com. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen and Maine stores in selected states as well. So Mizzen and Maine.com, use that promo code redacted20 to get 20% off. And we want to tell you about our friends at Rumble Wallet. So many of our journalist friends have been debanked. A wallet that lives inside an ecosystem. Social and digital, this is where you level up. Go to wallet.rumble.com, search Rumble Wallet in your app store, download it, back up your recovery phrase, and move your money where it belongs, in your hands. Again, wallet.rumble.com, download it today on whatever device you're using. Well, a new national law has been introduced to require all operating systems to have mandatory age verification.
That's one step closer to the chip. You're gonna have to prove who you are.
Couch it as safety, right? They want to protect you from predators or, I don't know, OnlyFans models or whatever else is out there lurking, right? This is House Resolution 8250 to require operating.
So this is federal, covers all the states, as you can see, Congress.gov. This is federal. HR was a rule, I believe it is, a House resolution. I believe it's House rule. Somebody help me out. It says for HR 8250 to require operating system providers to verify the age of any user of an operating system and for other purposes.
system providers to verify the age of any user of an operating system and for other purposes. So think Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Android. What about open source Linux? I guess we'll get to that in a moment. Here it is. Here is HR 8250 to require operating system providers to verify age. Now, I think this is a Trojan horse, but maybe I could be convinced other.
Of course it's a Trojan horse.
Otherwise, which would be to control all of us.
That's about total control. We're going to turn the whole planet into a digital prison.
Austin Fitz says if global elites fully deploy digital ID systems, this is how they will control all of us. Listen.
All the great work that you have done in health and all the great work you have done in food to preserve food and health freedoms, the minute they get financial transaction control, they will delete all of it. They will negate all of it. They will reverse all of it. Financial control and controlling the financial transaction train tracks is the meta control that they will use to control food and health. So I don't care what you're doing in the food and health area, if these guys get 100% digital system with a digital ID and programmable money.
Programmable money, excuse me, I got stuck there. That's ultimately going to lead to the mark of the beast. They're going to digitalize everything, no paper dollars. Your Visa card will be hooked up to the bank, but it'll be hooked up to a central bank, and there'll be an ID for every digital dollar that you use. If you go to the supermarket and you spend $55 on certain items, they know, and I said this before, they know that you spend $55. They know, they have a list of what you purchased. They know what time you purchased it. They know what time you were in the car. They know where you went in the car, the route that you take. They know the gas station that you went to fill up. So they know everything. So this is a complete digital prison that we're going to live in. And ultimately they're going to have you actually chip. They're going to make you part of that system. The IOB or the IOE, the Internet of Everything, or the Internet of Bodies, which you're going to be a part of that whole system. As I have said before, we all say that in GMS. So she's just making it plain, and she's been talking about this for years as well.
Guess what? They're going to dictate. You don't get your vaccine this month, they're going to turn off your money. You don't transgender your kid, they're going to turn off your money. Wow. They're going to dictate all of your health and food policies to you. So we did a wonderful...
So, I mean, that sounds dramatic, but she doesn't seem... What I love about Catherine Austin Fitz, she's not like hyperbolic. I mean, she's been in the government. She understands exactly how these operations work. Austin Steinbart is a social engineer and the founder of Quantum Party of America, and Austin joins us to dive deep into this. Austin, great to see you again. Welcome back to the show.
Pleasure to be back with you, Clayton.
So, am I being a little hyperbolic here, a little overexcited about this idea that HR 250 is a Trojan horse that will allow them to gain control of us through this digital ID system with these operating systems? Or is this just safety, just protecting our kids? How do you read it?
You're not being hyperbolic at all. This is a disaster at every level. And I would say it goes even deeper than just a digital ID. It puts this ID mechanism into the core of every single device that's out there in existence. And then it not only does that, it is a 6-page bill that they delegate how that's going to go down to the FTC. Right, so it's one of those, in addition to the constitutional abomination that is the digital ID thing, the Congress is, again, just delegating their authority to the executive branch to write the law however they please. So is this biometrics? Is this ID card? Is this a face scan? Like, what even is this? It's completely up to whoever is in charge of the executive branch.
So they can just say, hey, we're going to partner with Apple. We're going to use your Face ID system, which, by the way, was developed in Israel. Apple's Face ID unlock of the phone.
That's going to be a model place, state is Israel, I believe. China and Israel, and then Africa, and then the whole world. Everybody's going to get ultimately chip. Get ready for it. You guys in the ISUPK, IUIC start breaking it down right. GMS got it right. They always had it right. They never they were never wrong as far as this is concerned. And we've been saying it before the technology came on the scene.
Was developed in Israel, so we can just use Face ID. We'll just use like Apple's way of getting into this. So like all these companies need to be on board. Microsoft will scan your retina, scan your face. We'll have a database of that.
Scan your hand, scan your forehead,
and we'll confirm that you are of age. Like who's going to be in charge of this database? Who's going to be in charge of this? The federal government?
Well, they're trying to make the operating system providers in charge of this. It kind of is piggybacking on something that already happened here in California, where they are saying that people need to put their age in, and then every single website or every single service they use it handshakes with that original age verification thing. So they are essentially trying to put this in an operating system level, and then every app you visit, every website you go to, every service you use, it will go and read that age field on your operating system. So it is a privacy nightmare and it's a cybersecurity nightmare, right? Because they're essentially saying that every single service that you use has to interact with that.
Anyway, let me go to this here. Let me go switch it up a little bit. Give me a second. I just want to see this here. Okay, let me see what this is all about.
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Machat, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Mill.
Just a stop for a minute. Most of these camps don't know prophetic breakdowns. And I agree, most of these camps don't know, well, all of them don't know all the breakdowns. The Lord sent a Iranian woman as we talking about Iran. But you just got guys that get a t-shirt, put fringes on. I don't know the name of this group. I don't know if they're Wi-Fi. But anyway, a lot of these guys that claim to be prophets are not prophets. Not saying that they're not part of the 144 or whatever, but if they're out there and they don't understand these scriptures, somebody roll up on them and ask them a question to trap them, you know, it stands to say that you was not sent. Because you were supposed to eat the whole book. Eat the whole roll, right?
Salutations, much love and respect to you, Akim, out there pushing this word out, truth and sincerity. This is going to be a quick lesson, you know, and the title of this one is going to be many of these other camps do not understand the prophecies. Many of these other camps, these Israelite camps, do not understand the prophecies. And I just came across this video from Rock of Truth. I'm not too familiar with this camp, but I've heard of this camp. It said the Lord sent an Iranian woman as we talking about Iran. And then he goes to one of the scriptures, and you're gonna see, okay, who he says the means are, okay, because he doesn't understand the prophecies. That's why these camps stay on a very basic level when it comes to teaching the scriptures. And I'm not mad at them, you know, at least they know they're Israelites, that's a good thing, but you have to rightly divide the word of truth. Jake doesn't understand that the Lord will not be pleased with you breaking down the scriptures incorrectly. Okay, so let's take a listen to this.
The people that can change, they give it to our brother, Yahweh Shai, into a Edomite. This is the Israelites.
Yeah, this is just a group that got together. They watched some IUIC, some GMS, some IUCBK, whatever, and they just got together and they did their own thing. I don't believe they really was set up. So, you know, a scholar come along and ask them a certain question, going to trap them up.
Israelites, not Israeli. No, it's not a religion, it's a way of life. Where you come from? Iran. Oh, Iran. The people that that's born. The people that that's born with Israel. Okay, well, do you know that those people who your people is warring with them, they're not the real Israelites? That's why we're just talking about why there's war going on. It's because the true Israelites are waking up. Yes, the Israelites. I read something. Before you read something, let me hear. Yeah? Because you know that it's prophecy, what's going on in your land. It's prophecy, it's biblical. What's going on over there? It's not Netanyahu wake up and decide to do that. It's biblical. The Lord's doing it.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17. Behold, I will stir up the mean against them.
There's got to be some England somewhere.
We shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it.
off. He just went off, man. The Medes are the so-called Russians. And then the Persians are the Iranians. The Iranians are descended from the Persians, which are the Edomites. The Medes are, well, actually, originally are one of the sons of Japhet. If you go trace the history, trace the name, it'll take you back to one of the sons of Japhet. So when they said that that's talking about the people of Iran, they're going off. This is what happens when you try to do things on your own. You got to come into a record. Really, you're supposed to be a part of GMS. That's a premier camp right there.
I think those brothers corrected me. They said it's Persia, right? Which I don't know if they know that it means has nothing to do with Persia, but you know, he said that the lead speaker said that that's her people. In other words, the Medes are the Iranians. No, the Iranians are the Persians, like they said. Okay, which goes back to Elam. All right, the Medes is speaking about the Russians. Okay, this scripture is speaking about the Russians. Let's continue.
Persians and the Medes, so therefore he's stirring you up to be fighting against the Israelis.
He is stirring them up, but those are not the Medes. Those are the Persians, right? So, you know, I guarantee if you were to go down, the line to different scriptures dealing with the prophecy of the war, you know, brothers would be lost. These brothers in these different camps would be lost. If I had to bet, okay. And the only ones that really get deep into the prophecies, and break it down correctly is the apostles and elders of Great Millstone on down. Okay? We have videos on that on these different scriptures. Okay? My thing is, the brother's right. The Amalekites are the so-called Israelis. But if a person doesn't understand the breakdowns, then he needs to be learning more than he's speaking. Okay? Matter of fact, let me read this. This is 2 Timothy 2 and verse 15. It says, "Study to shew thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed." Right? Because you become ashamed when you break something down incorrectly. You don't know something. Okay? It says, "Rightly dividing the word of truth." And that's why we should always be studying. Sometimes when you don't go through a breakdown for a while, what happens?
And really, you're supposed to come up under the main one of the One West camps, really the GMS, to get it right. So you got a Bishop Nate breaking down scriptures wrong. He's correct on about 90% of the Bible, but he goes off on a bunch of things. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they celebrated their Passover either last night or tonight, because tonight is the new moon. So they say the new moon to them is the full. The new moon is a full moon to them, which they're going off. Tonight is the new moon, where the moon, when you look up in the sky, the moon is dark, so they're going off on that. And both IUIC and ISBK, they go off on certain, John the Baptist, ISBK, they go off on that. But mainly, the main prophecy is the mark of the beast. So none of them is right. So all of them got to come up under us, including these guys. Like I said, these guys just saw some videos and got together and they kind of did their own thing.
You get arrested, man. But you should know certain basic breakdowns at all times. Okay? It says rightly dividing the word of truth. So you have to rightly divide the word of truth, not just say whatever comes to your mind. Okay? The word for rightly here is orthotomeho. Orthotomeho, it says to cut straight. Right? To cut straight ways, to proceed on straight paths, hold a straight course. Right? Equivalent, I think this means equivalent to doing right. Right? So you gotta rightly divide the word of truth. Okay? To make straight and smooth, everything, all the prophecy should be cohesive. Okay, so when you break down this verse in Isaiah, it should be cohesive to the verse you break down in Jeremiah. Everything should come together smoothly. You should make a straight path. There shouldn't be no, wait, this doesn't connect. Okay, you said this about the Medes, but then you said this about the arrows being shot. And then you said this, so you got to break everything down correctly. Okay, to make straight and smooth, to handle aright, to teach your truth directly and correctly. So we're supposed to teach your truth directly and correctly. Okay, these things brothers should know. Okay, you should know who the Medes are. You should know who Gog and Magog is. Okay? This is 1 Corinthians 3 and 10. It says, according to the grace of the Most High. It's not like, you're going through the 12 feathers and you forget, what Caesar's in what order. You're dealing with something you should always know. These are very important prophecies that are on their way coming up. They're playing out.
But they didn't get it right the first place. They just they probably breezed through a couple of our videos. And I even explained why the Medes, why did Isaiah say that was the Medes? Because the border south of Russia, the bottom half of Russia, is the land of the Medes. So Isaiah must have saw missiles or arrows coming from that region. So I saw missiles or arrows coming from the Medes. But you got to go further north, which is Russia, which was no man's land. A lot of these guys, the main thing, well, we're prophets, so the main thing you should know is prophecy.
Right now. So we have to know these words. This is 1 Corinthians 3:10. It says, according to the grace of the Most High, which is given unto me as a wise master builder. Okay, because we're building, the third temple. I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon. So you have to take heed. Okay? For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahushua HaMashiach. Yeah, you don't want.
Right, there's only one foundation to one house. So it's got to be level. The foundation has to be level. Another scripture came to mind also in 1 Corinthians 14, I believe it's the 32nd verse, the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets. If you believe that you're a prophet, that means you believe that you were a prophet in the last life. So you're not going to come back in this life breaking the scriptures down wrong. What does Amos 3 and 7 say? Lord will do nothing when you reveal all his secrets to his servants, the prophets. And one of those secrets is his name.
Want to be building with untempered mortar. You want to be building with the correct material and doing it correctly, because the Lord is particular about how his word goes out. Remember Job's friends that weren't speaking correctly about Job. Most I was getting ready to kill him if Job didn't sacrifice for him. So we have to do everything. We have to know these breakdowns, man. We have to know these breakdowns. And like I said, that's why these other camps, they don't go deep. They stay on the same basic level. Oh, Jesus is black like you, brother. And they can't go any deeper than that. They can't really go into the prophecy because, first of all, the Holy Spirit is not working with a lot of these camps. And
so what are they going to do when they make the chip mandatory? You can't eat. You miss a couple of meals.
And you need the correct teachers, man. You should be learning from the apostles and elders on down. You should be learning the correct breakdowns. I had to learn the correct breakdowns from the apostles and elders, right? Anyway, unless Yahushua is coming to you directly, which he's not. I'll say I highly doubt that Yahushua is coming down to you and teaching.
No, the Lord's not coming down to them because he wouldn't make a statement like that. He wouldn't make a statement like that.
He set up teachers to teach you. When I say that he's not meeting you in the forest, and breaking down the scriptures to you, like how he broke it down to Paul, That's what I mean when I say that, So with that, we're willing to edify to the elect. Just a quick hit. I'll say shalom.
So with that, we'll say shalom on to the next shalom.